Hey Brokers Playbook Nation. Today I am interviewing Andrew Perrie. Andrew is a huge producer in the Niagara region with a fine estates team. He's rapidly expanding to other markets. He's already put his mark on the Muskokas up north, and he's eyeing up Florida right now and the globe potentially in the future. Hear what drives him, hear what he's doing, and how you can take a piece of his insight and put into your practice. Enjoy the show. Good morning, Brokers Playbook Nation. To all my brothers and sisters, coast to coast, I have Andrew Perrie from the Fine Estates team, Niagara-on-the-Lake, Revel. Revel is a fairly new brokerage brand, and Andrew's making some noise with his team. They have taken a significant piece of market share in both Niagara-on-the-Lake and Muskoka with their two offices. He has great philosophies and motivations, really, on what he wants to see the industry do and how he is part of it and what mark he's going to make on it. I'm looking forward to having all of you get value from Andrew. I was on his podcast a couple weeks ago, and we had a tremendous conversation. Andrew, welcome to the show, my man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, buddy. I appreciate it.
I appreciate seeing you twice in less than a month.
Yeah, look at that.
So actually 3 times, because I visited last week on an unrelated event.
Right. Yes.
Down in Niagara-on-the-Lake. It was
for the luxury secrets.
For the luxury secrets.
Yeah, that's right.
And I mean, yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Because I think people need to understand how much you have to do to stay current, stay relevant,
right,
stay on top of things, and how much value that brings to spend an entire day legit with legends of real estate.
Absolutely.
Because that event had the who's who of that asset
some OGs,
class.
Some new upcomers, and the fact that they spent, from some people were there at 9:00 and some people were there at 8:30 when it started at 10. So that was good to see, and they stayed all the way till like 4:00.
I thought it was an awesome event, and I want to give that event some time on the show because people should be looking at what's happening out there.
Yeah.
I want to start this podcast today with a little bit about your story.
Yeah.
I really I'm very brand agnostic. I'm a Royal LePager, and on this show, everybody from anywhere comes to share their version of their truth in business, in life, and what they're doing to help. And Revel is just a really beautiful brand, is what I find.
Yeah.
Like I thought the design of it, the way it makes you feel, looks really good. It looks very contemporary. It's modern.
Yeah.
And it has a cool feel. Tell me what attracted you when you were looking to make your move. What made you choose? And again, this isn't a recruiting call or any nonsense. What attracted you? Because I can talk about what attracted me to Royal LePage.
Of course.
But what attracted you to get into a new brand?
Right. So, and I was with Royal LePage in my first year.
Sweet.
And the reason, what attracted me to Royal LePage, when I thought real estate, I thought Royal LePage, before I even heard of Revel.
Yeah.
And so that's why I went there. And then when Revel opened in our area, my goal from the very beginning, it was never, hey, I want to be in real estate for 20 years, selling homes, and trying to be number one. Obviously, I'm very competitive. I want to be number one, but that's not my end goal with real estate.
Yeah.
I wanted to, and I always envisioned myself opening my own office, then opening out another and another, open in different provinces, different nations, and different countries all over the world. And the only company that was in my area that I could see that even being a possibility with was Revel, because I knew that the big brands already had their territory.
Yep.
They already had their people in place, and Revel was so young that I knew when I started with LA Fitness, it was only in Canada for 7 years. And I knew that if I had hopped on early enough, I can help them grow and take my market share of the fitness industry. It was my same thought process with Revel. I was like, okay, here's a company that's on its way up, has an amazing brand in Niagara. Nobody knows it outside of Niagara at the time. And how can I help change that and help not only grow their business, but grow mine at the same time?
Now, you've done some great numbers. Can you tell me a little bit about, because not everybody's from Ontario that listens to the show. Tell me a little bit about the Niagara region. The Niagara region is how many people?
Well, between St. Catharines, which is like 150,000, Niagara, which is 90,000, Niagara on the Lake, which is 15,000, you're probably looking at somewhere between 300,000 to 400,000 from Stony Creek all the way to Fort Erie.
Got it. Because to put that into context, your volume, we're in the GTA, which is Canada's biggest market, and the brand, my real estate brand is REC Canada. REC Canada is Canada's second highest GCI volume team.
Right.
We finished first for transactions in Ontario last year, and we transact. Let's just call it around between 400 to 600 million in a year, depending on the year.
Yeah,
you've done $300 million in a market that is a tenth of the size. In both markets, you're in Muskoka and you're in in Niagara on the Lake.
Right.
So between two offices in such small markets, that represents significant market share. That represents a significant will to put out work.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how you're doing that. What does that look like?
Well, the number one thing is it's setting standards and sticking to them. What I realized about the real estate industry from a very, very short beginning is that most people see it as a service industry and that they're here to service the clients. So when a client calls, you service them. When inquiry comes in, you service them. From my mindset, this is a business. I'm not servicing anybody. They're servicing me to an extent. So what I mean by that is that I'm going out and finding the leads. I'm not waiting for the leads to be serviced. So I never was afraid to pick up the phone. I was never afraid to go stand on a corner, go into grocery stores, and literally just stop and talk to people. I knew that the only way for a business to grow is for that pipeline to continuously be flowing. And where I can attribute our success is that once you have beaten that down into the heads of your salespeople and they have that type of a buy-in, it could be the slowest year in history and your pipeline is still flowing. People are still buying. So how do you make sure that you're getting in front of them?
Yeah, let me make that super clear because there's a couple things to unpack out of what you just said. The slowest year in real estate history of this country, not somewhere far, not some a long time ago. Last year, 2021, was on record the slowest volume year in Canadian history.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, not 2021. 2021 was the busiest in Canadian
absolutely
history. Excuse me. 2022 was the absolute slowest, and that's a result of simply a massive boom and a resulting a series of 8 interest hikes. Again, another record, global record for the whole world, actually, where interest rates had to adjust to a post-pandemic world. So 2022 is the slowest year on record. Volume was cut by 49% in most markets, 51%, I believe, overall. I could be wrong. Apologies in advance. But half the business was wiped off the map. People clammed up, weren't selling, weren't buying. It was your best year on record. Best year.
It was our best year on record. We had just under 100 million in total gross. We had 106 sales. And we had 51 agent-to-agent referrals. So it was a huge year. However, it was also a year of extreme uncertainty. We had a couple of months where we didn't sell anything. But it was still our best year ever. And while other agents were, hey, you know what? I did amazing during 2021. 2022, it's harder. Business is tougher. I'm just going to relax and live off whatever the hell I made last year. And that's not our mentality.
Where I'm going with this is I'm going to share a quick one for REC. REC It was our second highest commission year in our history. In a market where the market performed at 50% less, we finished the year 6% under our banner year of 2021.
Yeah, that's huge.
So if we were supposed to lose 50% just because the market lost 50%, because I can tell you, I know agents that lost 95% of their business, many, which means we picked up business.
And not to cut you off, but why do you think the Buzz conference, the latest, the one that was at Liberty Grand, why do you think that not one speaker, including myself, brought up social media? It's because those who succeeded last year, they weren't influencers. They weren't people that were focused solely on TikTok or social media. These were people that understood business, were educated, and did the actual hard work.
Grinded.
Yes, the back to basics mentality. And that's why. Because if there's still people transacting, people are still buying and selling, why are people like us succeeding well over even some of the top people are, and they're not even, in the top 10. It's because people needed education. They needed value, not bullshit. And
Belly
again,
to belly.
I'm not making
Belly to belly.
I'm not making fun or poking at anybody's business strategies who focus on TikTok or social media, because I do too. But that can't be what you rely on. Okay, Instagram brought me business. TikTok brought me business. How many? Well, I got my first deal from TikTok. Great. You need 99 more to compete with me. So that's the biggest difference, is not everybody was providing enough value. People saw through the BS and just wanted real facts about what was going on in the market.
Well, I think this, I kind of call it the Great Reset. Because of the pandemic, we saw a tremendous rise in activity and real estate values due to the free money that was being handed out by the banks left and right.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it. We all, I
benefited greatly.
And I grew my portfolio personally.
Massively.
So above and beyond our business. So I don't blame people for investing in real estate. I actually give them thanks and I congratulate them for their own progress every day.
Absolutely.
But when things change and the market shifted, the Great Reset that I call now is watching people who entered the business at a time where the business was not its own business. That's not the real estate that I've been living for the last 17 years.
Yeah.
The last 3 years were a gift from the gods, per se.
It was.
Because in the real estate industry, you never know what you're waking up to. You're not waking up to a paycheck. You gotta, you kill what you eat what you kill, excuse me. And unless you, at some point you figure out, you called it service versus business, unless you figure out that this is a business.
Yes.
And you take steps to safeguard your pipeline, to continuously have business development strategies, consistent and ongoing. We were talking a little bit about overhead. You have an overhead of 50 grand a month.
Yeah.
We have something just as ridiculous, maybe a little bit grosser. But I mean, those 30 days, how quickly they go.
Yes.
Until the next 50 is ripped out of your account.
Right.
It's hard to tell somebody coming into the industry fresh what that feels like. And we were, again, talking earlier, July, August last year, when you landed a couple of goose eggs.
Yeah.
But that 50K.
That still got taken out of the account.
And in August, again. And it's just, it makes the hair on my arm stand up, because I know the feeling every 30 days.
Yeah.
And what it takes to make sure that not only we're covering our overhead, but we're profiting.
Right.
We work 10, 12, 14, 16-hour days. And what I really want to share today is, how do we provide insight to this audience listening right now to take actionable steps, to not be victims of the Great Reset? Because the minute you leave here, you're back to war. The minute we're on the street, every conversation is an opportunity. Every email, every text that is presented to you, entrepreneurs look at things differently.
Mm-hmm.
Every text I get, it's not like I'm thinking about money. My brain is wired for opportunity.
See?
So I don't
Yeah.
think of money, but maybe I need to say that because other people need to think that way. I don't know how to explain it properly. I'm trying.
Yeah. No, I think
And hopefully this conversation brings it out.
so. I really love that because at once I was, at one point in my life, I was afraid to tell people that. And I didn't know how to articulate it. It was like, no, I care about money. I think about it all the time. That's why I answer my phone. That's why I do this. I take these podcasts. I go on these shows. I go on the road. I go to the States. I talk. I meet. I network. And I realized that it wasn't the money. It was the opportunity.
Yeah.
And if I don't recognize the phone number that's coming through my phone, it's like the dopamine in my brain lights up. Where most people see that, oh, that's fucking spam. Whatever. I'm like, I know that is a call for a real estate opportunity, and I'll answer it. And so I think that's the biggest difference is that when people are looking to follow up with their clients, follow up with new leads, call their database, they're like, well, these people don't want to hear from me. And I'm like, you're right. They don't want to hear from you. However, they don't know what value you're going to bring from this call. But if you're thinking the only reason why you're calling them is to service them or to try to get them to book an appointment, then that's your first fucking mistake. You have to think of a reason to call. Every single one of your clients, did they move into their absolute dream home? Maybe, maybe not. 90% probably didn't. They probably saw a whole bunch of houses with you and said, Andrew, we really wanted a pool. We really wanted a main floor bedroom. After months of looking, we settled for a home with it. That was a 2-story or a bungalow that didn't have a pool. So I find an exact home that they wanted when we first met. And I say, hey, Dave, look, I know you love your house and where you are right now, but this home just popped on the market. I don't know if it's for you or not, but I'm just saying, this has a pool, main floor bedroom. Did you want to take a look at all? Andrew, no, thanks. I know you send me these all the time. I'm definitely not moving, but I appreciate you. Thank you. Or, Andrew, you know what? Honestly, we just got our house appraised and the bank, we were about going to refi, but I'm really surprised at the equity that we made. Would you mind coming and do an official opinion of value so that we can go and buy that house? So if you're looking at the hot sheets every day, that's exactly what I do. I think that house would be perfect for this person, and it gives me a reason to call. They're not going to say, holy shit, this guy's spamming me. They're going to think that almost, hey, why haven't I heard from them in a month? Is there nothing new to talk about? So it's always about being connective. That's not the right word I'm trying to look for.
It's top of
It's
mind,
about
staying
being
connected and delivering value.
Exactly.
You're calling them because you have, as much as your interests are being served by transacting, it's their goals you're trying to hit.
Exactly.
They would be thanking you for making this monumental change in their life. Opportunity is translated a million different ways. There was a conference, and it'll be the next thing we talk about, but I want to talk about like opportunity wiring. When I got a late invitation to the luxury event because I wasn't able to register in the beginning because I had a conflict in my calendar.
Yeah.
That conflict clears up, and I was like, that's where I'm going that day.
Yep.
So I called the organizer, connect, all the things, and I know I'm going to Niagara-on-the-Lake. As part of what I do, work with development, etc. If I know I'm going, so this is my brain.
Yeah.
If I know I'm going to Niagara-on-the-Lake to see Andrew Perrie's office because you're hosting the event,
Yeah.
which is brilliant in itself. We're going to a winery. Everybody who's there has thousands of clients that are well suited for anything we put in front of them because somebody has someone for something. The only thing that hit my mind and instantly and with absolute rush is to bring value to your office. I came with a bag of brochures for 2 different projects.
Yep.
Nobody asked for it. I volunteered it. And I'm like, these guys are luxury real estate. They have a wicked brand. They're slayers at what they do. I have a launch of 12 units in Port Dalhousie, which is kind of like the crown jewel, the
5 minutes
lakeshore.
away.
Beautiful, 5 minutes away.
Yep.
Why wouldn't I bring that to his office? Let him do a deal. Let him help his clients. Everything flows for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
That is just the way I think. I think when I come bearing gifts of inventory, I think that's a good idea.
And which, by the way, just the week before, I had two. One was from a client. One was a random phone call from somebody asking about those projects.
And this is what I'm talking about.
Hey, do you know anything about Harbor Club? Yes, of course, because I always say yes. And then I go find it, and luckily it came to me.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, I think what I really want to translate into everyone's agenda today is to be a little bit more intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Intentional to build a business that if you get sick and you can't answer your phone, your business doesn't suffer.
Of course.
And that requires, of course, systems, processes, and the intent to have that set up. You have to want to be that business, a machine. And it starts with you acting like a business person, which means you're making calls outbound, you're taking calls inbound, you respect the industry and all those in it, and you take it from there. A perfect display that I've threatened it now twice is the Buzz Luxury Secrets. Let's talk about that event, because everybody who's there doesn't need to be anywhere.
Right.
So to put into perspective, the GTA's East, North, West, inclusive of the Niagara region, every single number one team across 15 different brands was there. No real estate was sold that day. As we were joking. I said, I'm going to go back early and take over your books of business right now.
Because Peter's in Niagara. Let's go to Mississauga and take
That's right. So, and I mean, we're talking about the Invidiatas, the Papusecs, Doricio.
The King.
Daryl King. Big shout out to Daryl King. I mean, like, there was literally the heads of real estate. Yeah. Nobody needs to be there, but yet everyone is there. Why is it that leaders always seem to find the time, the guys who never have a second for themselves? How is it that you get all these successful salespeople in one place for an entire day, but we can't get our juniors or intermediate agents?
Yeah.
What do you think that mentality shift? And this isn't criticizing. Again, what needs to change in the mentality and the wiring of that junior or intermediate to see the value in spending the day together? Daryl was asking me, what are you working on?
Right.
Christopher Invidiata, who I've never met before, I only heard of the legend of this man, who has sold all of Oakville's Lakeshore probably 3 times over in his life. His career. He knows every plot of land, like every unique nuance of every one of those properties, because that's how he sells real estate. To have conversations with people like that. Why do I see the value in a junior or intermediate doesn't? What needs to change?
I think the biggest determining factor is that a lot of them feel maybe insecure with their inexperience, so they don't want to ask for help because it feels like it puts them in a vulnerable position, whereas I never ever thought that way. Even before I had my license, I was interviewing everybody, business owners, realtors, and trying to figure out what exactly they're doing to get an edge or to become successful. And that's exactly why we put on this event. And because I feel it was two sides of the same coin. I wanted to know what people were up to, how they were doing it, how are they marketing themselves. But also, I knew that if I wanted to make a relationship with you in order to get your hard-earned referrals, I needed to put something face-to-face to create that relationship, because by the time they walk out of that office or leave that winery, they said, you know what, I had a great conversation with Andrew. Although he's not, the guy who's been doing luxury for 30 years, I feel way more comfortable giving my clients to him. And people in their first and second year, they don't see that type of a value. They just see something that is, taking them away from sales, or what could I possibly learn? Like I did that. I went to Richard Robbins and Tom Ferry. I'm like, what the hell can I possibly learn? And, I look around, I'm like, I do more business than that person. What could I possibly learn? But it's all about what after each one of those sessions, I always figured out that, hey, there's that one thing that I just had to look at differently. It wasn't a fucking $1 million a piece of advice, but it was something that changed my vision of something that made
And it can also turn into $1 million given your different type of execution.
Of course. So the new realtors, just to wrap this up, the new realtors, they don't think 5, 10, 15 years or months down the road. They're thinking, how can this help me now?
And that is the mistake.
It's
short-term thinking versus long-term growth.
Right.
Perfect segue. I think that is laser clear and a laser focused response. If you are not a student of the game, let's to really wrap, because I want to go to expansion and growth on your side. If you're not a student of the game, you will lose. I am a student of the game. I know I will learn something new every single day. As a matter of fact, every hour. I'm learning something today. I guarantee you by the time you leave, something's going to pop in here.
Yep.
Could be anything. It could be knowing the population of your market, which will help me make a marketing decision in the future. Who knows?
Yep.
I learned something today. And it's because we were together.
Of course. You got out of behind the desk.
That's it. So I think if anybody needs to understand, continue speaking, continue growing, continue networking, especially if you know somebody is bigger, faster, stronger than you, then that's where you go. You drop your ego, you be humble, have humility, and ask the questions if you want to grow.
Mm-hmm.
I want to take us to growth because you're a big thinker, which I love. You're eyeing up international opportunities.
Yeah.
You were just telling me that you're planning a trip with a mutual acquaintance of mine down south to Florida.
To Florida, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what you're looking to do.
Well, I think it's the same when I think about how I want to grow my team in Niagara. There's a certain threshold. I don't want to have 50 agents in Niagara Falls as a team working on the same thing. That's why I opened in Muskoka, because for one, my clientele is kind of the same. Niagara-on-the-Lake, Muskoka, age difference, income. But I knew that in order to really start to make money, because real estate, as people in our position, the overhead is absolutely insane. So you need to expand and take over market share, in my opinion, in different markets. And first, I always try to connect it with where my clients are going. So if I have multiple clients saying, yeah, we also have a cottage in Muskoka, or yet we head south to Florida every year. Wow, okay, great.
You already have a base.
Exactly.
It's
and
brilliant.
So that's how I always start. It's like, it's the same reason why I'm not in Toronto. I don't have clients that are in Toronto. So why would I go and open there?
Who learned something new today?
See, and it's the same reason as how you asked me, so if you go into there, how do you grow? Well, one thing I'm not doing is I'm not going into a Florida market and trying to sell to people in Fort Lauderdale. For one, you need to have some Spanish knowledge, from what I hear. Or you go to Orlando, I don't know anything necessarily about the culture there, but I will, and I will sell that culture to my clients. But what I need to know is I need to know who's coming into this area, who has the clients that are coming into this area, and that's who I need to market to. There's no point of me marketing to the local people there because I already know that they don't know who the hell I am. But I do know that the people who already know, like, and trust me from my current referral source, if I attach my name to something, they'll follow me.
Because they know it means something.
Exactly.
They know the level of service. They know the level of dedication. They know how serious you are about this business.
Exactly. And that's how it's like a ripple effect. You start marketing to the people that know, like, and trust you, as I mentioned, and then you have them become the walking, talking billboards of your business.
You have specific theories that I'm a big fan of. And the way you move into markets and the message that you put out is so interesting.
Well, because people, and not again, sorry to cut you off, because people think, well, okay, if you're going to go into that market, how the hell are you going to succeed? You're going to have to do 1,000 deals. What? If I'm running this as a team, I don't need to do 1,000 deals. I need to do 100, 150, maybe 200 in each market.
And how do you get the referrals? Because I think this is one of your most brilliant moves, is really talking the talk, walking the walk of a specific message, that you are the guy to refer to.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that strategy, because it's like, now we were talking a second ago about learning something new today. I've just been blown away by taking your current databases, where they're going and how they live. Because I'm not a residential broker. I'm not.
Right.
I'm not inherently a resident. Like, I'm a commercial broker. I'm an investment focused broker. I do the rescom space. I have residential agents, masters at it. But what you said is, I sit down with my clients, they're like, well, we're going to be in Muskoka on the weekend, or I'm going down south for the winter. So I don't think it's a coincidence you're going to Florida to look at what you can do, because you have an existing bought-in
All
database.
my clients are 55 plus, man.
Come
basically.
on. So this is brilliant. Tell me about your referral campaign, because people need to hear this. It's brilliant. How did you do it?
So at the very beginning, I knew absolutely everything that there is to know about Niagara-on-the-Lake. I created marketing videos, posts, blogs, all about it. And that's how it started there. Then it led into...
So you made proof, social proof. You made videos displaying to the world your intimate knowledge of this market.
Exactly.
Great.
That was anything from taking photos of me drinking wine, to walking through orchards, to, geotagging every single post that I did. Niagara, 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 even in Facebook groups, Niagara, 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 even if I wasn't even talking about it, right? Because that Niagara shows up in black as opposed to all the rest. And then once I had that referral base, I'm like, okay, this is where I need to put my focus. We started creating an elevated client or agent experience. So the biggest thing when dealing with somebody's referral is that it's not your reputation that's on the line, it's theirs. And you need those clients to be raving about you to that agent and vice versa, because again, that agent is the one that's going to stick up for you when somebody in their office says, who knows somebody in Niagara? So what we do is that it's a full-on, I know everybody says concierge and white glove service, but we take care of that personal referral so carefully. And it's perfectly cultivated to the fact where I meet with every single referral personally with another agent, just in case. Because if I get too busy in this referral and the market's moving really fast and that referral needs to see something today, I need to make sure that they're handled and they know that my partner is going to be the one that's going to be able to answer the phone. And then we have a perfect, just like you guys might have something for your clients on, okay, offer goes in, we send a thing. Offer firms up, we send a thing. Then it closes, we send a gift. Every time I get a personal referral, whether it's a seller or a buyer, they get a care package. And that care package is a representation of Niagara-on-the-Lake. So it's a bottle of wine, it's a handwritten card, it's our brokerage magazine, it's our brochures. If it's a seller, it's a seller's guide. We usually bring a hat, maybe a thermos, and usually some type of gift card to a local restaurant or bakery in that area. Because as soon as they leave that first meeting, they're going to go tell that agent, and then that agent is going to be your walking, talking billboard. And we do client parties for every year.
I'm not speechless. I'm not shocked. I expect nothing less, because you simply don't do 100 mil or 300 mil without these processes in place.
Right.
If anybody thinks you can fake any of these steps, think again, short-term thinker. When I receive a bottle of wine, I always remember it. I always appreciate it. If it's coupled with a handwritten note, I have a drawer full of them because they don't go in my trash.
Right, of course.
There is a reason when you go to Richard Robbins, to Tom Perrie, to any great coach. Speak to Kathleen Black about how to treat your clients. Every single one of them, they have one thing in common. It's the science and art of reciprocity, and that you never forget how somebody makes you feel. Gifting is an art.
Absolutely.
You make it a standard templated gift, it will be toilet paper.
Right.
You put some careful thought and time behind it.
Yes.
It creates walking billboards.
So here's a real quick story of a most recent drop-by gift. So we went to a listing presentation. We brought everything that I just stated. We knew, well, we didn't really know that we're in competition, but the way we got the call, when somebody just calls your phone and you ask, where did you hear about us? And they say, well, I just, Googled the best realtors in Niagara-on-the-Lake. Your name was the first one that popped up. More than likely, they probably called the first 2 or 3. So anyways, we go in with our package just as we always do. We tour the home. You can tell that they lived there for a while. They were excited about the rentals that they did. They just put in a brand new pool, and they said, this is where we hang out from May to October. We love it here. There's a screened-in porch. This is where we play cards. And I said, okay, so let's bring out the euchre or the bridge board. And they're like, yeah, no, we're more euchre people. And, we'd just love to sit out here with a bottle of wine. And I noticed that they had scotch as well in the same place. So what we did is the very next day after the appointment, we came by with a brand new, and again, this is like $5, a brand new deck of cards, so that when they're playing it, if that new film is still on the card, sliding perfectly, and a bottle of Jameson. Although we already did the wine, we noticed a few things, and that's what you said, something interesting as well, is like, you got to get out there and you take home one thing, and it's the same thing. When I walk through the office, I'm looking at your screens, I'm looking at the desk, I'm looking at your pen, I'm looking at things that when I go home, I can say, that's something that we need to implement. I really loved how
100%.
Simeon did that. And so it's the same thing when I walk through a house. If I notice Toronto Maple Leafs or a Detroit Red Wings jersey, I'm going to go home, make that note, and say, let's get them something that involves their favorite sports team.
It's too easy to go into different tangents because of all the nuggets here. To try to keep it focused, is there's so much intent in everything that you're doing, and that is common across any successful salesperson in any business. Our business just happens to be the top of the food chain from a sales perspective because of its value, because of the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It's a big one, which is why you have 100,000 people competing for it,
right?
In this province, which is why being intentful every single day matters. Your bottle of Jameson no doubt got you the listing. Yep. The brand new cards no doubt got you the listing. There's no doubt that they now believe that you are the best broker because you are so quick to find out what they care about. That is, from an analysis as a human being, you need to respect the fact that somebody walked through your home and the only thing they did, they wanted your business. If I was the home's the vendor, if I'm the seller, you're walking through my home. I know why you're here.
Of course.
I called you to sell my home, and I know you're going to make a truckload of money in a successful sale. Mm-hmm. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to charm me. I know what you're trying to do. But you know that I know these things. You don't treat me like an idiot.
Of course.
That's the difference. You're not humoring me. You saw the scotch. You didn't think, this is how I'm going to get these guys.
Of course.
You said, these guys like scotch, they like euchre. You're going to feel great. Drop them off with a brand new deck of cards and a bottle of Jameson. You're different, my man.
Yeah.
Not everybody does that. I can tell you what I do. This is the business that food built. I buy everyone lunch. Yes. I want to spend 2 hours in an intimate setting.
Yes.
Breaking bread. That's how I've closed thousands of deals at this point.
I like that a lot too.
It's too easy. You can't eat with someone that you don't like.
Right.
You can't do it physically. You can't do it. You'll take it to go. You'll find an excuse. You cannot spend 2 hours at a table with somebody that you cannot stand. So in 2 hours, you're either breaking down every barrier in your best friends, or you've decided that as a fact, this is not going down.
That's right.
It's just impeccable.
Yeah.
I commend you on this strategy. I commend on the business practices of your growth and the way you see things. I want you to give me your top 3 tips. Like, we're way past time, and I can go on for another 6 days. Give me your top 3 tips on, and I want you to speak to juniors and intermediates on how to get to a senior level.
Yeah.
Because seniors know what we're talking about, and they better be listening and get on top of their game. You're competing against Andrew Perrie, my man, my lady. To our brothers and sisters out there, if you're going to a listing presentation and behind you is Simeon, behind you is Andrew Perrie, you know that I'm going to pull out all the stops. What are you doing about it? This isn't competition. This isn't threatening.
Right.
You know the business that you're in, and you're going to win.
Absolutely.
And I will not go to a listing presentation that I'm going to lose. So imagine if we're in the same market, this is what you're up against. Who's going to get there first and what impression you're going to make. So to the seniors, very simple. Pick up your game. Give me some advice for the junior that they can implement.
Right. So it starts here. Number 1, you have to take care of yourself mentally and physically. Because if you're not right in the head, nobody around you, your business, nothing's going to be right. There's no way you can sell yourself to somebody else if you haven't sold yourself to you. So create a morning routine, create some type of exercise strategy, create, like you said, an education strategy where you're always learning. Number 2 would be to create your value prop and stick to it. So hold yourself accountable, hold yourself, to a higher set of standards.
Start becoming like a niche is what you're referring to?
Yes.
Like building a brand on something where people know that that's what you do?
Exactly. And it could be, it doesn't need to be so broken down to like, okay, I sell commercial or I sell residential or I sell condos. It's more about your brand message. So for us, it's communication. That's our mission statement, to be, the absolute best in communication with our clients, a higher elevated experience. That's it. And then number 3, I guess, would be, if I had to choose one more piece of advice, I'm struggling with that because it's routine and standards is just my entire life.
Consistency.
Right, and consistency. But I think is whatever you think, whenever you think of something that you need to do, which is pick up the phone, call clients, do it within your first 5 seconds or else you're never going to do it. Yeah, I forget her name, but she invented it. It's called the 5-second rule. Forget her name. She's got glasses, blonde hair. Famous entrepreneur. I'm going to kick myself for not remembering her name. But that's what you need to do.
It's okay because our incredible editor standing in the room, Mr. Vic, is going to pull up this fine lady's name. And it's going to slap it right on
You'll
the
recognize
YouTube
her as
channel.
soon as you see her face. But yeah, I mean, I think it's being comfortable with uncomfortable. That's what it is.
I think that couldn't be a greater message to end it all with. Mr. Andrew Perrie.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you for coming on Broker's Playbook. For everybody that tuned in to listen or watch, thank you for being here. Please spread the message. If you have a recommendation as to who should be on Broker's Playbook, if you want to come on Broker's Playbook, please shoot us a message. Give us some details around the playbook that you want to share. And obviously, we hope we brought you value. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you so very much for spending your time with us here at Broker's Playbook. This is a growing community. If you found value in this video, please invite others to subscribe and, of course, share the videos with. We'll see you soon.